Hi everyone, my name is Ben Burleigh. I'm a Master's of Adult Education student at Yorkville University, and this short video is a reflective video of the readings and things we've done over the past 6 weeks in our course. I'll try not to take up too much time. The minimum time of this video is 5 minutes, and I've tried it once already, and it's spread over into 19 minutes. So this is a draft attempt, and hopefully it works out to be a more palatable length for everybody who's watching. There's a few things I'd like to do. First of all, one is establish what will happen over the next 10 minutes or so. The first part of this little assignment will be me explaining the list of things we've read and studied, and then I'll get into some of the readings, a couple in particular that meant the most to me and will stick with me in the future. From there, I'll talk about some of the points of contention I have with the readings, and that may produce the best feedback in the future. It may be a little controversial. I hope so. Why not? And then secondly, lastly, I'll wrap it up with a kind of a so what part. What does it mean to me? And maybe what does it mean to anybody who happens to watch this thing or find it? So first of all, I'll go through the readings that we've done in our course, or not so much the readings, but the topics. First, we talked about influences on education, visual and invisible, visible and invisible. That was a broad framework of things to consider in terms of, for example, invisible things such as values and culture, and visible things such as evaluation and notes and readings and things like that. From there, we studied social action movement and activity theory. We've studied community learning. We've studied social change and social justice. We've studied socio-material learning and work-based learning. We studied something called connectivism and actor network theory. We've also looked at inquiry-based learning and game-based learning. And next week, which is our final week, I haven't had the chance to read this yet, but we will finish the course on the nature and creation of knowledge. It's a fitting way to end. Looking forward to that. So, the course has been very informative. The reading was highly theoretical, and that causes some things to happen in terms of the style of writing and the content as well. And to be honest, I had some frustrations as the course went along in terms of the clarity of the ideas. It seemed like lines were being erased. Lines that should have been there were being erased, and people were creating gray areas where lines should have been placed. So, but anyway, I'll talk now about two parts of this course that did sit very well with me, and I'm sure changed my makeup, my DNA as an educator. At least I hope they have. The first one is from it's a theory called complexity theory, and I liken it to string theory in that it espouses the idea that nothing is disconnected, and that the material and immaterial things that make up our environment, internally and externally, physically, all have an impact and have an impact on and create learning. So any formula or any great kind of black and white planning for education may fail as a result of the myriad of factors that exist that might not be accounted for in that formula or plan. And yeah, it's a wonderful theory, and it's something that I think younger teachers could take note of, because oftentimes they will make plans, and they won't work out as well as they were expected, and upon reflection and collegial talks and things, well, we can often find that there are factors that we didn't account for. And if we can establish from the beginning that that's true, these what we see as failures need not be considered failures, but just learning experiences. The second thing that I was really impressed with in our course was the idea of communities of practice, and I've been part of one where I work. To me, they seem like an almost ideal way for adults to go about their business and improve and learn about what they're interested in. Hopefully their job is what they're interested in. Theoretically, communities of practice are groups of people who are brought together by a common interest and a desire to improve their practice as a whole. And there were some distinctions made in the readings concerning communities of practice and knowledge communities, where knowledge communities differed in certain aspects. However, and this was one of the unnecessary distinctions I think that were made in the course or in that literature, was the knowledge community versus community of practice, where some of the aspects of those two paradigms certainly intersected. And I asked the question during the course, maybe we could consider a new one, a pairing of the two. And something that occurred to me later on in the course as I read through it was inquiry-based learning. There are some aspects of that which actually do seem to fit with the idea of amalgamating those two, the communities of practice and knowledge communities. Anyway, communities of practice and this complexity theory are two things that I've taken from the course, which I hope to use in the future, and hopefully will make my life as an educator better, and make the students that are in my classes more fulfilled and more satisfied with the lessons. I'd like to get back then to maybe a little bit more detail in terms of the contention here. In an article by Hoskins and Deacon Crick, there's a phrase used, and I'll just read it verbatim: intelligent and applicable knowledge. I'd like to know what intelligent knowledge is. It never got defined, and that's the kind of thing that really ruffles my feathers, if you will. And another point that was made in the same article was that we could improve communication skills as well as common sense. And in my experience now in the ESL world, the term common sense doesn't have much meaning to me, because what's common sense in one culture, or even what's common sense in one part of a town, may not be common sense across the tracks in the same town. And I find it hard to believe that they would use language like this in what we would consider to be higher education or academic learning. Another thing that bothered me a little bit in terms of the content, and this is good that the course presented it, because it's our job now at this stage in our lives and in studying to question what we read. In fact, that's a kind of a mainstay now of education, certainly adult education, if not elementary, private, public education. But this is another quote from Jarsh in 2013 in an article entitled "Managing in Complexity." Embracing complexity and even chaos is where the future of work lies. I've never seen the value in embracing something if it leads to disorder. Here's another quote from the same author and paper: as traditional core activities get automated or outsourced, almost all high-value work will be done at the outer edge of organizations, at the fuzzy edge of the organization. Life is complex and even chaotic. On this periphery, where things are less homogeneous, there's more diversity and more opportunities for innovation. It's another example of saying that the disorder and the madness that's a result of of the systems we have in play now in terms of work and in education is a good thing. And I think it's a cop-out, and I think it's an excuse. And I think it's up to leaders and experienced practitioners to control the environment as much as they can, except that there are things we can't always control, but also to provide direction and real guidelines, especially for people who are coming into the system now. So I'm not sure that this kind of idea is the lead that academics should take. Well, those are my contentions, and those are my also my the things that I took out of this program, which were most beneficial to me. And I'd like to finish off the video with kind of a contrast. I'm a music guy, and one of my favorite bands is Rush. And in 1996, Neil Peart, the drummer and lyricist of the band, wrote a song, and the song was about what was at that time an exploding phenomenon, the virtual world, and it was about the internet and how people were spending time in virtual worlds and connecting through space, and it was basically I think a criticism of that kind of an experience versus real world, the tangible world, the physical world we live in. And today a contemporary artist named Jack White has explored music through technology and continues to delve back into the older technologies involved in music for feel and for presence and for authenticity, I think probably he might argue. And what I'd like to say about the role of technology now, it seems to me that in context of education, technology may be the biggest context and controversial one to discuss. That's arguable. Everything is. But technology is not a panacea. It is not the answer to education's woes. It may have some answers. It certainly does have some answers in terms of storing information and creating and engaging students, creating good materials that engage students and connect with their world. On the other hand, I've learned that it's about integration, and this theory that I mentioned before, complexity theory, would probably support this idea that no one paradigm is going to fulfill all the needs of education, and that as beneficial as technology is, there will still be room for the softer skills, the personal skills, the human-to-human interaction, and the space and time that we share together as humans. So it's really about integrating the two things now, not so much about going headlong into a tech-first and tech-only approach to education, but using it wisely and using it in conjunction with all of the other aspects that have always been present and will be present to some degree in the future in education. I can't think about anything else I should say regarding this short reflection, other that hopefully it's accomplished its two main purposes. A, the selfish one, give me a chance to use a small piece of technology that I may be able to use for my own good in education, and B, maybe the lesser of the two, a device or a piece of material that others may be able to use for their own good or for their own reflection. So thanks to my professor, Dr. Deborah Walker, for allowing me the opportunity to do this. Thanks to my classmates for supporting and discussing the issues we have, not only in this course but in the other courses. in the Masters of Adult Education program. And thanks for anyone who has the time and patience to comment on this first attempt at a video on YouTube.